Hi, welcome to the A Quilting Life podcast. I'm Sherri McConnell from A Quilting Life.
And I'm Chelsi from Chelsi Stratton Designs.
And today's episode is airing on Monday, July 8th, 2024. We're super excited to be here with you today. We have a lot to share, and I think we have some really great topics. First, I do want to mention our sponsor, Cozy Earth. We love Cozy Earth. They've been sponsoring our podcast for over a year, maybe 2 years now, and we love their products. I actually just got back from a quick trip and saw some Cozy Earth billboards. That was super fun to see. Yes, see a few Cozy Earth billboards. But yes, we're approaching record high temperatures here in Southern Nevada this week, and really grateful for my Cozy Earth sheets and all of the Cozy Earth product line. You can use the link in our description to get 30% off. And if you don't use the link, you will need to use our code A Quilting Life, and mention, there will be a little pop-up box that might ask you where you found us. Mention that you found us on YouTube or the podcast. We would love for you to share with them that you found their site through us. Okay, Chelsi has the quilts today, so I'm going to turn it over to her.
Yeah, and I know it is past July 4th, but I still wanted to share some of my 4th of July inspired red, white, and blue quilts.
Well,
so
let's say we're filming this on July 3rd.
Yeah, see, there you go. Thank you, Billy. So on the wall, we have an all-time favorite of mine. It's All American. And this one is fat quarter friendly. And this is actually the first one I made. I've made a couple. And this is in our Harper's Garden collection. And this is just like a staple quilt for me. You can make it in all different fabrics, but I love it in the red, white, and blue. And what's really fun is Jenny Doan of Missouri Star. Did you see it?
I saw it yesterday.
Boom moment in my life. Like, I love Jenny, and she's an awesome person, obviously, as everyone knows. She has been sharing a red, white, and blue quilt every day this month, and she shared my All-American quilt, and she hung it on her porch, and that was very cool for me to see Jenny. When Jenny makes your quilt, like, what?
Yeah.
But then also to have it on her porch, you guys, her porch is the cutest.
Right. When it makes it onto her porch, that's the thing.
That's like huge.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Jen. I'm glad you saw it.
Her quilt was her version of your pattern was gorgeous.
Her version was amazing.
Yeah.
And that is, I knew I had to bring this quilt today because Jenny had posted.
Yeah. I was just going to say that as soon as you finished talking, and then you mentioned it.
Yeah. And also, if you're a beginner quilter, this quilt is for you. It's beginner friendly. Marion Bott did the quilting on it.
I need to finish mine that I started when you were doing your quilt along.
You should.
I have my stripe box and my patchwork and the big star. I just need to finish the smaller.
Yeah, Ohio. Yeah, the stars. Those take the longest. Yeah. On the table, we have United, and I made this using our Emma collection. It is also fat quarter friendly and has alternate blocks in it. Beginner friendly, like I said, that's my jam. So those are the two quilts.
I love this straight line quilting.
Oh, it's the best.
It's pretty.
Yeah, Marion did that as well. So 2 little quilts for you today, and yeah, they're available in my shop if you want to make them. So
I do want to mention a couple things. Billy reached out to us last night when he was writing our outline to see if we had anything, and I had just actually gotten back in town from a 9-hour road trip, and I texted back that I didn't, but I have a couple things. Is that okay, Billy?
Yeah.
So just really quickly, the Fat Quarter Shop Christmas Star of Wonder Mystery Quilt-Along is starting soon. If it hasn't started already, it might have already started by the time this airs. I didn't have an exact date, but anyway, it's a free pattern. I'm sewing along. Look for that. I've worked and participated with them on their July Christmas mystery quilt every year for the past few years. Just love that. I also just wanted to mention a new book that I'm reading. Okay, so Erin Lochner is one of my favorites. Her book called Chasing Slow talked about, I read it a few years ago. It was kind of about her journey from being an HGTV star to kind of going along a more quiet path. And I actually heard her speak in person at a conference that I went to in Austin right before COVID. And anyway, she has had 1 million followers, but walked away from everything to try to give her children a more technology-free life. And I recently heard her on episode 307 and 308 of the Greg McKeown podcast. And her new book is called The Opt-Out Family. And it is phenomenal. I don't even have young children, and I am loving this book because it's giving me ideas for my grandchildren. And I really, as a mom, you sometimes want your kids to read things or whatever. I don't know if my daughters will read. I'm hoping I can get them both, hint, hint, to at least listen to the podcast because Erin shares a lot of tips on there. But this is a phenomenal book, and she gives you so many ideas. And I know Chelsi actually, Chelsi's family does not have a tablet in their
no
home.
tablets.
So you guys are already doing things like that. But this book is just full of practical ideas, tips that you can do with your kids, and actually how to use the techniques that technology is using, how you can use them as parents to help your children have more freedom from technology.
So does she mean opt out, meaning opt out of technology?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But the subtitle, How to Give Your Kids What Technology Can't.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you have a bad habit, you have to replace it with a good habit, right?
Yeah.
So if you're going to take away the iPad from your child, they have to have something
to do.
else, right?
They're very bored, so maybe this will give.
Yeah. But just so many practical, and she has, I think, 3 young children. She lives in Iowa, I believe, and just phenomenal ideas. And not even just for your kids, but for yourself.
Is it on Audible?
So it might be.
I have Audible.
Okay. It might be. You should listen to those 2 episodes because she gives
a lot of
so
the
many
stuff.
great ideas.
Maybe I'll do that because I only get 1 free credit a month, you guys, on Audible. I got to use it wisely. So
yeah.
I want to make a mention real quick too, going back to the Star of Wonder quilt along. I did look up while you were talking about the book, and it has started by the time this is released.
Okay.
So maybe even the second video might come out tomorrow because the first one came out Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Came out the day before we're filming this. We're filming on a Wednesday. It looks like that first video came out just yesterday.
Okay.
And so it's going.
Okay.
So just wanted to let everyone know in case.
Yes, I better get a move on with my quilt then.
Can I say something really random but really cool now that we have random thoughts? I have started to notice my oldest everywhere. There's little doodles everywhere on the programs at church or pieces of paper or something I get in the mail, and it's all these florals. And I haven't said anything, you guys, because I don't want her to stop.
Right.
But I'm something is brewing.
Yes.
Maybe she'll be, sorry, that's really random, but it's really cool, creatively when you see your kids do something creative that you like to do. And I just one day I said one thing. I was like, oh, those flowers are really cute. And then I walked away because I didn't, she's almost a teenager. So I didn't want her to be like, oh, this isn't cool anymore.
Exactly.
Anyways, I just think it's cool. I feel like creativity blooms, right? It just it plants little seeds everywhere. Sorry, guys. So
well, she may not be doodling if she had an iPad or something.
Yeah,
right.
So true. Going back to the book,
and actually, she talks so much about creativity in this book.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, good to know. Sorry, random.
Okay.
All right, and then you have an announcement to make as well, right?
We do.
Oh yeah, we do.
We want you to be sure to visit our YouTube channel here on Friday, July 12th to see our next fabric collection with Moda Fabrics. We are
Pew, pew, pew. Billy, where's our sound effect?
Yes.
No, we don't need it. Really, we don't need it.
You did it yourself.
Yeah.
We're actually going to be filming that video today, right after we film this podcast.
Yeah.
So be sure to come back on Friday if you want to see something really exciting.
You guys, I'm doing so good with my quilts. Like this time around, I am like got the mojo, and I have had some help with the mojo.
Yes.
So, but we are really, I know we say this every time, but we're really excited about it. And we'll be sharing all those details. So lots of fun stuff, a really fun new collection, and just really, really pumped about it. And Mom, I even was just adoring, her quilts this morning. And
Well, and you've got a cute one out there too that's
Yeah.
already done.
I got some cute things coming up,
Yes.
but it's going to be really fun. So we
Yes.
are excited and just can't even believe it's been a year since Strawberry Lemonade. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Like it was last summer.
Yes. And this is our 20th collection
20th
for Moda
collection.
that we will be sharing.
Yeah.
Super excited. It actually was 10 years ago that we were just kind of doodling in the summer the designs for our first collection.
Yeah.
We will have our 10-year anniversary next spring in 2025.
In May.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, really excited.
Yeah. So we're pumped about it. Hope you are too.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And I'll jump into our listener quilt section of the podcast now. And we're going to start with a strawberry lemonade quilt top here. And this was from Lori. And I'll have the picture up there. It says, "Hi, Billy. This is my first time using Sherri and Chelsi's fabrics. I absolutely love it, and I am hooked. Jordan Fabrics had the log cabin blocks pre-cut, the top finished at 72 inches square, and this is just before it was quilted. She actually said she would send another one after it's all quilted and everything.
It's
and,
gorgeous.
Yeah, and so it was not your pattern, but with the strawberry lemonade fabrics. I did show Mom. I'll have to show you after, Chelsea. But yeah, like you said, Mom, you really impressed with it there. Huh?
Yeah, beautiful.
Awesome. Okay, so the next one here is from Jeff. He says, "Hi, Sherri, Chelsea, and Billy. I love listening to the three of you talk." He said, "I'm very excited for Billy to show off his awesome quilting project. So hopefully, like we talked about last episode or the one before, we follow through with that." He did have to make a note, Chelsea, that he's disappointed that you are an Astros fan because he's a Phillies fan.
Oh, okay. I feel you.
Yeah, so I mean, it's understandable.
Totally understandable.
And I can relate with you because they also knocked my team out of the playoffs that year as well. So
Yeah.
anyway,
That's
but
funny.
He says he's been listening to you guys listening to us faithfully, and when he was at an LQS, what does that stand?
Local quilt shop.
Local quilt shop. I knew it was going to be quilt shop. I didn't know what the L stood for. Okay, so at a local quilt shop, I picked up a Balboa charm pack, and
Wow.
he said he transformed it into a small wall hanging that he calls Balboard because it reminds me of a checkered board.
Oh,
So that's where that name came from. He said he also used the Home for the Holidays book to make my significant other the classic tree skirt, which she was very excited for. And he also made a modified hometown summer runner as a 50th birthday gift for my sister. And he said, ever since you started talking about making a dog bed, I've been saving my scraps with that in mind, especially since I'm most likely going to foster a dog once school is out this summer. So that was cool to hear. And then this is funny. I wanted to read this to you guys. My kids think I'm a big nerd for listening to your podcast, but I love the familial banter and memories that are shared, as well as the random quilty thoughts and ideas. Thanks for welcoming us into your space with the podcast. And that's from Jeff.
oh, thank you.
Jeff, thank you.
Yes.
And don't worry, you are not a nerd. Don't
Yes.
worry.
Yes.
Of course, kids would.
Yeah,
would
kids
think that.
always
Yes.
think that.
Yeah.
That is so fun. And
Perfect example of a child that thought
Yeah.
I was nerdy for sewing and quilting. but
Literally.
Now
Yep.
is in the
which is
Think
like
of
the
it.
biggest karma ever that I would end up doing this. I'm always like, oh, that woman and her sewing machine is in there up all night. Like I'm trying to sleep. I got a math test tomorrow. No, but what's also really cool is that he found a Balboa.
Yeah.
That's hard to find.
from 2020, right?
Yeah, from 2020. And that collection changed a lot of things for us. That was a huge collection
Yeah.
for us. That
Yes.
was, yeah.
Okay, and the last one today, this is from Alicia. Hi all, Chelsea. I find you so inspiring. As a younger quilter, it's wonderful to find others. I've been quilting since 2003. I can remember entering quilt shops and being completely ignored when, she said in parentheses, when in my 20s. I have a box just like you of tops of pieces that I may never get finished. I've been inspired to at least get into the box and look. Then she says, Sherri, I was inspired by your season's greetings pattern. I do admit that 1.5-inch blocks drive me nuts, so I tweaked the pattern. I used jelly rolls from Christmas Eve by Lella Boutique from Moda Fabrics, some yardage for the borders and backings, and white on white snowflake for the backgrounds. It's a king-sized quilt finished. I long-armed the quilt on my mom's Gamel, a custom quilting machine. I downloaded your pattern, pieced it in December, quilted this beauty over Christmas break, and finally finished the binding in February. Minus the binding, the quilt was started and completed within a month. She says this doesn't happen for me often, and it went together very well. So the pictures are up there. She said, thank you for all you do. I hope these pictures are inspiring. Had a great time. It was the perfect holiday project to keep the Christmas spirits high. Enjoy the pictures. And again, from Alicia.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. We should meet.
You can relate to that a little bit?
Yeah, because I'm just so glad things are like changing. There's a lot of young people that sew too. It's a huge demographic.
And a lot of even young shop owners, we talked a lot about motivation in our in our last podcast. But when I was at that event, I was so amazed at how many of the shop owners are younger.
Yeah.
In their 30s and 40s. It's not just 60 plus who own shops. It's younger women. So it was inspiring.
I always think of Kate.
Probably and there were even some people there, I would venture to say they were in their 20s,
Yeah.
So really,
it's
really
super
awesome.
Cool.
And just to give an update to everybody, so those ones I shared were actually the last ones I've had from April. So we're in July.
Wow.
So if anyone has sent something in May or June,
getting to it,
and you're like, what's going like I just sort of wrapped up the last ones from April. So that's how it's going. And so just so everyone knows, I let everyone know earlier, like it might not be immediately and it might be a couple months. So I just sort of go in order.
But also, we need listener questions for the end of the month episode. We should mention that too.
Yeah.
We have a listener question?
At the end of July.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was going to actually mention that next. I mean, like I said, I do have a good batch in at the email as well, but we might get through all of those, might need a couple extras. So
we have 3 this month.
Mm-hmm,
Yes.
Get 3 podcasts. Yeah.
Yes.
We're filming,
okay, good to know.
Be doing the next 2 next week and be all set for July. So, But anyway, thank you for everyone that's sent in those quilts and the questions, and we'll always welcome more. So you never have enough. All right. So you guys ready to jump into today's topics?
Yes.
Okay. So the first one, these are all pretty much questions I think, like I mentioned to you guys yesterday, that you probably answered at one point or another throughout the entirety of us filming this podcast over 4 years, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It sort of hit me as like this is a time of year where quilts might actually be going away, as far as like not on your bed, right? Like I don't need a quilt. I don't need anything right now.
But
Does that make sense?
They look so good on the bed.
I know, but are you gonna jump under quilt covers and it's 115
no,
and
you
be
can't
under?
here.
Right?
You're
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
Right.
So
hot.
you might still. I guess you guys probably still decorate and keep them on the beds, but maybe some people
I
don't.
got a funny story for you when we get going. You want me to say it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, it's funny you bring that up because the girls both set their quilt. I found them in the hallway closet. And I was like, what is this? And they were like, Mom, it's too hot for the quilts. And I'm like, can't you just roll them at the bottom so I can still see the beautifulness of the quilt? And they were like, no, Mom. And so I was kind of sad because I thought they're not going to let me put a quilt on their bed till fall.
Right.
And So in Finn's, the one that he has, I have to fix the binding on it which I love. He has used that quilt since he was a little boy so much that the binding is just like we've washed it so many times.
You might just need to rebind it.
Yeah, I think I'll just do it. But no,
well, that's a perfect story because I think they're on the same page as me. I think you two are sort of looking at me crazy, like, what are you talking about? Putting quilts away. But me thinking about it and bringing up this topic was just like, I'm not going to use a quilt right now until the fall. Because it's, and again, I'm not decorating my place with quilts and everything. I use it for a purpose to keep me warm and
we can change that.
So, but anyway, it still got me on the topic of caring for your quilts. So there's a lot of things that we've talked about over the years about how to care for quilts. People have brought up questions. So I sort of wanted to take them all, put them into one topic today. We can reference this podcast now, hopefully moving forward for people that have questions about how to care for their quilts. Okay, so that's essentially what we're going to talk about.
Yes.
And I guess the first one that people always ask is, you got a brand new quilt? What do you do to get it started? How do you wash it at the beginning to get it all going?
So first of all, I don't wash a lot of my quilts. We make our quilts and then we use them at market. We went to market last year, first time back since COVID. Trunk shows. And so when they're going to be used for educational and display purposes, we actually don't wash them until they're kind of out of that circuit and into our home using it circuit, I would call it. So so a lot of the quilts are, I want it to be pristine, flat, quilted to hang in a booth or perhaps in a shop if they're, if we're letting somebody borrow it to sell our fabric. But that being said, the quilts that we use, I just wash them in my washing machine. The first time I wash it, I do add in 2 or 3 color catcher sheets.
Yeah.
And those usually seem to pick up any of the dyes from the fabrics that are there. I have knock on wood, not had an issue.
Never had.
Right.
And this is Moda fabric.
Right.
Never had a quilt bleed before. But that's knock on wood. I mean.
Right. Yes.
Sorry.
So
this table's real wood, I know.
Yes. And one other thing, I'm just looking kind of at the next question. Really, I feel like one of the biggest issues with quilts might be sun exposure. And I actually do get emails sometimes from people asking about my sewing room. And really, when I'm not in there, those shutters are shut tight. There is no light coming in that room unless I'm actually in there because I really want to minimize the exposure to my fabrics and quilts that are in that room. But in our homes, we often can't do that. And so for me, the way that I have handled that is that I just switch the quilts out frequently. So
for ones that are hanging on the wall that might be getting sunlight in certain areas of the house? Yes.
Or even, table runners are super easy because I feel like I change them out almost at least every other month.
Daily.
Seasonally.
Daily.
I actually think I'm going to sell some of my table. I think I have
Please, I'll help you.
I was going to ask Billy and you and Candace if you guys want some of them before I do a sale. Yes.
She legit has more she's always like, let's make it better. Let's make it better.
Yeah, I need to just get all the ones out and then let the family look at them and then sell. But
clear some space out.
Clear some space out in the cupboards. Yes, but I switch those out. But as Billy mentioned, I do have quilts that I hang on the wall. And if they're in sunlight areas, I do switch them out too, because we had an experience in one of our homes where it was the house on Clover Hollow that the front room had these windows and I had kind of these sheer curtains hanging there that I had made, but we never had a shutter or a blind. And after a couple years, I noticed that the tops of those sofas were just completely bleached out from the sun.
Yeah.
And
And they're nice. So
They're nice. So I actually still have them. And it doesn't really show the way I have them positioned now in our
now you have quilts draped
front
over
room.
them,
But
too.
I put quilts over them. But the sun will completely bleach your quilts and your fabrics. So yeah, move those things around, I would say.
I'm really lucky because all the places that I have quilts, the sun exposure is not there.
Is minimal.
But I still switch them out. So I have a ladder. But everything else is in a cabinet. Like I have a TV stand that has glass. And so I stack the quilts really nice and you can see all the quilts in there. But then everything else is in this armoire I have and no sun exposure. And actually, I'm kind of jealous because Mom has these closets that have super long shelves and she actually doesn't even fold them up as tight as I do. She keeps them. They're more like less creases on yours. And I kind of want to do that, but my armoire is like almost full. I don't know what to do. I have like limited space.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them I don't use. They're all quilts I've made like as samples. I probably need to do like a sale too.
Right.
Of quilt. It's,
Right.
You should too.
I need
Let's
to
do
also.
it together.
Yes. I need to also. Well, about a year ago, I think I took all of the quilts out of all of my closets and I organized them by collection.
Same.
And I put them back in. And it was really good to refold them. You know, I'm actually looking at the one on the table has some creases. And so you would kind of want to refold so the creases were in a different place.
Yeah.
But also, sometimes they get creases so easily. For example, when we were at our photo shoot with Fat Quarter Shop, those quilts that we took there, I had them laid out on a bed where they were completely flat, packed the night before. But when we got there,
They were so wrinkled.
creased and wrinkled. But we used a steamer.
Invest in a steamer, you guys. We were shocked. I'm sitting
Phenomenal.
there like, what is happening? I need this steamer.
Yes, it took out all the wrinkles.
Immediately.
And
It was crazy.
Yeah, and we had to refill that steamer with water several times.
Yeah.
But we got all the wrinkles out of all the quilts and then we laid them on a bed while we were doing, so we could go get them from that bed for the photo shoot. But yes, if you have quilts that do have wrinkles, that's the solution for that. I'm super excited about learning how easily that worked.
And so that was the first time you had used a steamer on your quilts? It was just recently?
That's
Yes.
the first time I'd
interesting.
used a steamer.
Oh.
Yes.
I have been dealing with steamers ever since I met my now wife because
Does she have one?
Oh, she steams everything. She doesn't really iron everything. She steams everything.
Okay, well,
all of her clothes, blankets, she always is steaming.
So I need to, I bought one and I haven't used it yet since I got back from Austin. So I
really?
need her to come here and tell me how to use it.
Yeah, she's pretty good with the steamer.
Yeah, I'm terrified I'm going to like damage something.
I'm so excited. I'm going to be talking to her.
Now, there's something you brought up earlier because I don't even think I framed the question exactly how I wanted to on here, but you brought it up and that makes sense now. So let's say you're storing quilts in a closet for a long time or the armoire or whatever. So you're saying it's good to take them out from time to time and refold them in different areas?
Yes.
And that makes sense because if a quilt stays somewhere for 10 years,
Right.
it's going to be, probably even with the steamer, it's going to be hard to take that crease out.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, my Christmas quilts and they come out every year but they in just a year, they get creases.
Now I'm scared.
So I always do try to, if I can tell where the creases were after I've used them for that Christmas or had them out, I will refold them so that they have the fold lines in different places. So
I'm buying a steamer today and I'm steaming all the quilts in the armoire because you guys are scaring me.
Well, that's good. And that's interesting that you just barely picked up on that within the last month.
That was just something we learned from Fat Quarter Shop.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that in sun exposure, is that the only thing that could really take color away, or is some color just going to go away naturally even if it is stored over time, or do you think that color will hold?
Well, I think if you wash something a lot, there's always that chance.
And that too.
There has to be like something has to cause it. It's not going to cause it unless you have it probably being washed or sun exposure.
Right. I don't wash the quilt, the quilts that we use on our bed in the colder months. I don't wash them a ton.
Yeah, no.
Because it's not really touching you. There's probably a sheet in between.
Right. And a blanket. And Yeah, and we don't have pets either. So that I guess it would be different if we had a pet that was
jumping on
from
time to
Jack.
time.
Yes. So, but I will just generally wash a quilt that I'm using once or twice in the season. You know, the winter quilt might get washed once every 6 weeks. And then by then it's time to put a different quilt on the bed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. That's for you. It's like you are changing your quilts quite frequently.
Yes.
But let's go back when you made me a quilt and I was using it. And that's what I used from the time I was like, 6 till I was 18. Right.
Right.
And yeah, it's all torn up and everything like that. But so for people, let's say that are pretty much, this is my quilt, this is all I use all year. Yeah, you got to wash it every once in a while. And I think, and you mentioned it too, Chelsea, that you were talking about Finn's quilt, that the binding was coming loose. So I don't know when do you guys think, are there any things you look forward and you're like, okay, it's time to retire this quilt, either make a new one, put it away, preserve it, or I guess you could redo bindings and stuff like you're talking about?
I think, yeah. And I think it depends a little bit on the sentimentality of the quilt. For example, I have a quilt that my grandmother made us. It's a king size quilt, and she did applique these flower blocks and hand quilted the whole thing, and we used it and used it and used it, and we used it too long.
Yeah.
I should have put it away earlier to preserve the beauty of it. And
I think I remember that quilt. Like you
it's
had
a lot
that
of different
in
blues
Vegas and everything,
yes.
right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
I remember that.
do you remember that? I have it in a closet.
What?
And I wish I had put it away sooner. The fabrics are really faded. And she did buy good quilt shop quality cotton for it, but they faded. I used it. I washed it. But what makes me sad is that some of the hand stitched quilting has also just, sunk into the quilt, and you can't even see all of the work that she put into it.
Yeah.
So I definitely used that one too much. Super sad about that. And I actually, when I realized it, I had her make another one that we used for a long time. It was navy double Irish chain, and I think I tied it. I think she made the quilt top and I tied it. And I started using that one.
I remember this one too.
Yes, I started using that one instead to give the other one some.
Did you use that one in Clover Hollow, in the Clover Hollow house?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I know which one it is.
Okay, so those quilts are like the examples I'm talking about
Right.
of
Yeah.
when do you put, when is it time to retire? Just like when you
Right.
can notice little things like that, this
Yeah.
is on the verge of coming
Yes.
apart.
I literally only retired the one on Finn's bed because the binding was legit falling off.
Right.
It's just like a sentimental quilt. I just need to go in and fix it.
Yeah.
But I have another one I've been wanting to make him for a few years. It's that shark quilt by Elizabeth. Oh,
yes.
I already have the fabrics for it and everything. I just have not.
That would be a fun Christmas present for him.
I know. And he loves that stuff.
Yeah.
So what about temperature? What if you did store a quilt in a box and, you're out of room and you have a storage shed or something? Do you think temperature, if somehow, like obviously here, not everyone lives in the desert like we do, but let's say we put it in an unconditioned or just a shed out back or something. Do you think that would damage the quilt if it's in extreme temperatures?
Well, it gets to 120 here, so
Yeah. Well, and also in a shed, in a box, it gets very hot.
Yeah.
It's
in
almost
a
like
shed,
an oven.
in a box.
I think the heat is devastating on so many things.
So many things. I don't put Christmas decorations. I don't put anything in a shed out back. It scares me. I think it depends on where you live, really.
Yeah.
Like here, everything is just.
Like you said, there's parts of the country and world where it's perfectly fine to put something,
totally.
wrap it up and put it outside. It's never going to get that hot. But if you do live in extreme temperature.
Something we don't worry about here, but that they do worry about in other parts of the country are moths.
Oh, yes.
We don't really have that issue where we are. But I know other parts of the country they do. If you have something outside, mice. I know my grandmother had some stuff stored in a shed at my mom's house that was, mice got in there. And
they'll start
Actually,
tearing up the fabric. Yeah.
Sitting outside on my front porch 2 weeks ago, and Mason jumps up and there was a mouse just like walking around our feet right in our front porch. And I was kind of shocked. They don't scare me, but he was nervous.
Yeah. So you do have to think about pests and along
true.
with the temperature.
Ours is more like centipedes and scorpions and
But they're not going to eat the...
I don't think a scorpion will eat our quilts.
A centipede might.
A centipede, yeah.
They eat...
Now I'm nervous. Nothing is going outside. Like, when let me tell you something. The centipedes do certain times a year. They can get in your houses. It depends on if there's a nest, a scorpion nest or centipede nest. And I have filmed myself actually trying to kill the ones that get in my house because I just like scream crazy.
Right.
And my husband thinks it's hilarious.
Okay. Well, I think, is there anything else as far as like just overall care for your quilts? I get it. I mean, there is a difference between display quilts and quilts that you use. But I mean, I think you guys...
Don't eat on your bed. Don't drink on your bed.
Yeah. I was going to ask, for your king size quilts, do they fit? Like, do you bring them somewhere special or no?
I saw this on
when
the
you
paper.
do wash it? Yeah.
And I don't think I could ever bring one to a laundromat because I don't know what's been in that washing machine in the laundromat.
There's some really nice ones.
I have a large capacity washer, and king size quilts do fit in my washer.
Okay.
I'm going to use Mom's large capacity washer.
Well, I would say this then, because it's sort of random. I caddied for a lady that I had just barely moved after I got married, and she was like, "Oh, where do you live?" And then she said, "Oh, you're close to this laundromat I use when I go and bring my king sized stuff to." And she said, "This is a really," and I actually have looked at it now since she mentioned it, but it's a really good laundromat where they take it. It's almost like a dry cleaner, but they're just regular washing it for you, and they fold it up all nice. That the machines are like big and they can handle everything. She's like, "That's the best laundromat in Las Vegas." I go there, everything. So it got me thinking like, oh, that's interesting. Now I have a king size bed, and if we get a quilt or something, my washing machine's not that big. I wouldn't want to put it in there. So I was thinking, oh, well, if I do, then I'll just bring it over to this laundromat and everything. So,
you will get a quilt for Christmas.
Okay. All right. There it is.
Just saying.
So, okay. Well, so hopefully that answers anyone's questions that you have for caring for quilts. I thought, I don't know, this was a good time of the year to talk about it.
Great topic, yes.
Yeah. All right. And so then to wrap it up, we're going to do sort of a different one. It is about quilting, but it's about like, I guess, the A Quilting Life brand. I would say more than the channel, because we want to talk about like everything that we do here. And it got, so it starts with my mom's blog, right? Or it started with my mom's blog. And we've talked about this stuff before, and we talked about, we have the 100,000 and the anniversary of the podcast. But basically from the blog to the podcast to the YouTube channel, our Facebook page, my mom and sister starting to design patterns or design fabric and then design patterns, or vice versa for you, Mom, possibly. But everything that's associated with it, we just want to give like an appreciation to everybody who's been there at any part of the journey. And, but one thing we want to talk about is that we are a small, it's still just basically what you see is what you get. We do everything by ourselves. There's really no one else behind the scenes except for my dad, who helps out with shipping. And I guess, would Mason help out with shipping too, or not so much?
Oh yeah. I got it.
Yeah. So
we do have
the husbands.
We do have a few people behind the scenes that help us with our patterns.
You're right.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Maybe actually this would be a good time to give a shout out to them, huh?
We just really appreciate. We have Natalie and Joel, and I also have Christine and Sharon who help me with different things, and we also have Alyssa who helps with the Sherri and Chelsi Facebook group.
Yes.
And she also helps put our content on Pinterest as well. So we have some people doing that, but if you are emailing or you are dealing with an Etsy pattern issue, or it's always us. It's not anybody else. And it's also not Billy with any of those things. It's either me or Chelsea running our own Etsy shops.
And trying to answer tons of emails in a timely manner and responding.
I mean, I do run the new email
yes,
for
Billy,
the podcast.
The A Quilting Life podcast email is all Billy. And that has been huge. I feel like that's taken a big burden off of me because especially if I leave town, I've been out of town quite a bit the past, we had the Austin trip, then we had I had the Dallas trip, and then we had a trip with a granddaughter, and then we just had another trip. And it's been really hard to keep up with the emails and get to them in a timely manner, especially if I'm traveling. It's really difficult. I might not be able to answer an email when I'm not at home. And so I will, if I'm not going to be home for 2 days, I won't even look at that again for 2 days. So
And so I mean, the main thing we're getting at, I guess, is that there is help, but as far as like response, everything, we don't have a team. Whereas like if it was a big company or something, okay, take a couple of days off. Well, there's still a customer service department or something like that. We don't really have anything like that. And
we're trying our best to get everything responded to, and we really are trying.
We really appreciate your patience
and kindness.
Yes.
The kind emails mean so much, and it just makes a world of a difference as we really are trying to take everything on. And even Mom really has, you have been so busy and gone. And I feel like just for me, I love being a mom. And so anytime I have with my kids, that my kids aren't in school right now, so I am balancing that as well. And the kids are great. They're so supportive of me, but it's also trying to get that work done and be with my kids too.
Yeah, I actually have thought about asking my other daughter to monitor my emails and if she wanted the little part-time job at home, and just not have her reply to anything, but just to tell me if there's something I need to look at right away or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's really hard and difficult when you are traveling. And also I do try to take one day off a week. I try not to look at my email on Sunday. Sometimes it happens, but I really do try to just have one day when I don't look at my email at all. I try not to turn my home computer on that day either, and just take a break from
I think it's just
everything.
That balance.
Yes.
And trying to, sometimes it's really hard because somebody will really want an answer right away.
Right.
And if it's your day off, it's really tempting to go back over to the computer, but
yeah. And I do have an auto response email for Etsy pattern issues that goes out on the weekend, and it basically gives a link to the Etsy directions for downloading your pattern, and then it also tells you if it's still not working, please give me your email and I will get it sent to you Monday morning.
Yeah.
But honestly, most of the Etsy pattern download issues are caused by people using their phones instead of a desktop or a laptop computer.
Sometimes the email, the input was wrong.
Yes.
It's a lot of things and sometimes I'll get messages like, oh wait, I figured it out. And I'm like, you did it. I'm so excited.
Yes. And thank you for letting us know.
Yeah. And thank you for letting us know. So I love that. And I love actually responding to people. I'm always like, yay, happy sewing. Like,
right.
I hope you enjoy making this pattern. I love it. So.
Yeah. And actually, if I'm traveling, I can't send you the pattern because all those patterns I have to send from my home computer.
My home computer.
Yeah. If there's an issue with a download, I have to be home, and I'm sorry, I don't have a customer service team, but
and I guess that's what the whole point of this, topic is to give just a little bit more transparency of like how it all operates on our end, just to clear up maybe some confusion or questions that people have. I think sometimes there's maybe a misunderstanding that there is more behind than there really is. And one thing I was going to note is that, so the YouTube channel also is I manage that. I see everything that goes on along with that. And so I can't, and I have another job as well. So it's like,
right.
I love the comments help with videos. It helps promote it. It's great. It's great interaction between different viewers, and I try to read as many as I can. And I know you guys jump on and try to read, but I don't respond to every single one of them. For a while, I was like, man, I feel bad. I should try to respond to every single one. But at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I just don't think that's possible with all the other editing that I have to do in between all the jobs. So I just wanted to like let everyone know, yes, we read them, we see them. If we don't respond to every single one of them, it's nothing personal. It's just time sort of limited.
Yeah.
And I guess if I didn't have another job or anything, then I could be like, all right, for 2 hours today, I'm going to go through and respond to all new comments that came in today.
Yeah.
But I just don't really have that opportunity to do so. And same with the email. Like I said, you see your quilts popped up on the screen or your questions asked. I have responded to some here and there that I can get to, but again, it's just sort of us. There's no one else helping out. So we're doing our best, and we're very, very grateful for the growth of everything.
So grateful.
On all the things, but it does bring more challenges. And like you said, maybe there will be some other people that join in along the way. But as for now, it is what it is, right?
Yeah. And you brought up something really important that I hadn't thought about too. In the early days of blogging, that was what you did. You responded or replied to every single comment that came to your blog. And as the blog grew, it became harder and harder to do that. But I do read everything. Now, not as many people comment on the blog, but I love when they do, and I do still read them. I have a function on my blog where if you've never commented before, I do have to approve it before it will show. And so I always go through those. There are some, I just want to point this out just for safety reasons. Sometimes people leave comments on my blog and they have a question for me and they leave their phone number.
Oh, no.
And so I will never publish those comments. I will try to look up their email address and email them back the answer. But I am never going to publish your phone number on my blog.
Don't leave your phone number.
Do not leave your phone number. It's okay to leave your email. But yeah, I feel like I delete a lot of comments that they never appear on my blog because they've got personal information on there. I've even had people leave their credit card numbers in a comment that thankfully was not published. And so just want to let you know about that. Don't put your phone number on a blog comment unless you want to get a lot of spam, and for sure not your credit card. So I've had both of those issues and really try to look at the safety of our listeners. But I do read every comment, and like Billy mentioned, I get on my newsletters on Sunday. And sometimes I don't even have the chance to respond to all of these, but I love when I just get a quick comment back. Thank you for your newsletter. I love the things that you share, and thank you for sharing this. It just makes my day to get those little bursts of kindness in my inbox.
All right. So anything else you want to mention about all that?
I think
pretty
we
good.
covered.
Yeah, just wanted to, I don't know, just as we've sort of hit these things and things have gotten a little hectic and busy, we just were thinking, hey, let's give everyone a little behind the scenes. It'll be a little transparent with how we operate and do things and who's doing what. And hopefully that just, maybe clarifies some ideas that people had of how it all works for us, because we're not Fat Quarter Shop,
right?
We're not Missouri Star,
Oh yeah,
we don't
Fat
have.
Quarter Shop has a whole room of customer service. We've been there. We've seen all their wonderful operators that are able to take all those calls. But
everyth's happened pretty organically. It just started with my mom's passion for quilting and blogging, and we jumped along the way, just very, very, like I said, very organically. I don't think my mom ever had a grand business plan.
I didn't
10 years ago with all this stuff. So it's fun. We enjoy doing it. We want to keep doing it, and we hope everyone enjoys the content we put out and will keep following along with us.
Yeah. So I just want to remind you to check back this Friday, July 12th, to see the new collection. And we're actually going to jump into my sewing room and film that video next. Our next podcast episode will actually air on Monday, July 22nd.
Yeah, so we will see you then. Thanks so much for stopping by.